Hello and welcome to episode 41 of Captain's Pick, the FPL podcast. My name's Geoff, and each week I'll be talking fantasy Premier League football. You can find the show on a whole host of podcast services. Just search Captain's Pick. And we are currently live streaming here on Twitch, twitch.tv/captainspickpod. You'll also be able to find a replay of this live stream podcast on YouTube. Again, just search Captain's Pick, the FPL podcast. And of course, yes, as it goes out as normal as a podcast each and every week. On today's show, I'll be talking about my game week 2. Talking a little bit about transfers, my captain's pick and squad selections for this coming game week 3, and again looking at game week 3 fixtures. So yeah, hello everyone. No one in the chat as yet, but I'll keep an eye on that. I'm going to do a little bit of job this week of trying to pay attention to the chat as well as the game week reviews, and say still learning, big learning curve to be live streaming the podcast. This is the second series of the podcast, and we've added this live stream element to the podcast and really enjoying it so far, and hopefully everyone watching and listening is also. Please do get in touch at Captain's Pick Pod on Twitter, or our email at captainspickpod@gmail.com. Excuse me. If you want any questions or topics raised on the podcast, or if you just want to get in touch, leave me a review on iTunes or whatever you're listening. That would help. Again, just please like, review, share, and subscribe. That'd be amazing. As you can see on screen, that's my Twitter at CaptainsPickPod. On there you can see the links to the Twitch channel, the YouTube channel, and also links to the podcast and the email address. So as I say, do get in touch and let me know what you like on the show, what you don't like, what things you'd like discussed on the show. That'd be really helpful. Okay, so let's get right into it and see if our first transition of the day works. Let's have a look. And yes, quite happy with how this is going so far with the live stream in the last few weeks. Not too many technical difficulties, but we shall see if that continues. So as you can see, game week 3 there, I scored 53 points. The average was 41, and a game week rank of 787k. Last week it was 523k. So anything in and around there each week I'll be definitely happy with. And game week 3 I most certainly got out of jail. Just going to scroll down to my squad here and just go through where I got the points, or where didn't I get the points, as it were. So really, my two defenders there coming in and absolutely saving me. Luca Dean with a assist and a clean sheet and 2 bonus points, getting me 11 points there. And the hero of game week 2, and that's why I'm wearing the Superman t-shirt. Live streamers, you'll be able to see that, and YouTube watchers. For Superman John Lundstram, who I started in my 11, many didn't, but I started him, and he, of course, amazing. He delivered 14 points, played the full 90, scored a goal, clean sheet, all 3 bonus points, got a yellow card, but we can forgive him for sure. And that was really where the bulk of my points came from. 25 points just from those 2 defenders. Robertson and Alexander-Arnold not returning. Silly, that Adrian mistake was a real blow. That really could have boosted my score, and I could have really shot up the rankings with that double defence Liverpool. More on that when I talk about transfers later. Ryan in goal, yeah, that's fine. He got his whole game week 1, so that's fine. Captaincy blank from Salah. It was always going to be a tight call between him and Sterling. Had a great one-on-one chance, Salah, in that game, but failed to deliver. So just got the clean sheet. Sorry, not the clean sheet bonus. He got. Oh, that was right. Yes, sorry. So he went off before Liverpool conceded, so he did get the clean sheet bonus. So that doubled. He got 6 points. So again, just a little bit of luck there. I say should have captain Sterling. I was never going to captain Sterling. Always going to be on Salah. Sterling obviously scored, but got booked. So in the end, it was only a 3 point difference. So I wasn't too fussed about that. Fraser didn't deliver. Really disappointed in him. Those first 2 game weeks were. Well, I was really hoping for something for him in those first 2 game weeks, and I would have been in a great position where if he'd done well, I could have maybe just cashed in the points and moved on, or kept with him if he was in good form. But he's just shown nothing, so I think he's going to have to go. More on that in the transfers. Kane, didn't expect him to do anything really against City. I started Wickham, came on for a point. That was just, again, how I've been talking in the previous podcasts and live streams, that it's very much sort of 4 players playing for 2 positions there. So, but I was happy for him not to do anything considering Lundstrom's haul. And Josh King getting a penalty, getting a goal, so it was glad that he at least got a return from my 2 Bournemouth attacking assets. Again, more on him in when we talk about transfers. On my bench, Dendonker and Hayden both getting 2 points apiece. So yeah, fairly happy in terms of that game week. In the end, kind of got out of jail for sure. And what we can do is just have a look at my overall rank. Then is 230k effectively. 6.2 million people playing the game now. It's phenomenal, really. Overall points 139. If you'd offered me that before the season started, I definitely would have took it. As I've mentioned in previous pods, my average last week, game week average, was 58 points, aiming for 60 points. This season, again, aiming for 60 points, but hoping for 65. And I'm already hit, what's that, nearly 69 points, 70 points in the first 2 game weeks. So I'll definitely take that. Just a little look back then at the fixtures. Arsenal winning 2-1 against Burnley. Have a little click on that. Ashley Barnes coming in again, getting a goal. Bamiyang and Lacazette both scoring. As we said, I think last week on the podcast, Arsenal are very attacking. Will definitely get attacking returns this season. It's which one do you go for? Caballos, I'm not sure the pronunciation there. 2 assists, 5.6 I think is in the game. Went up from 5.5. Looks like could be a very good option. For me, it's a wait and see. Got some difficult fixtures coming up in the next 2 Arsenal, so I shall wait and see on him, but could well be a good midfield option there. Bournemouth again 2-1 beating Villa. King and Wilson, that's Harry Wilson, not Callum Wilson, unfortunately for you Wilson owners. Wilson, though, did get Callum, that is an assist. Just nothing really coming from my attacking Bournemouth players there. Yeah, Josh King got the penalty. Not much else. Fraser delivering nothing. And Aston Villa, again, could well be leaky at the back this season. Might score a few goals going forward, though, so be interesting because they still have some decent fixtures coming up. Brighton 1-1 West Ham, 1-1 draw with West Ham. And interesting to see Trossard got on the score sheet. Pretty decent value at 6 million. Is a player that I'm looking out for on my watch list in the coming weeks. Not much from West Ham from my point of view, though. Matt Ryan conceded in that game, but that's fine. He's 4.5. Everton, brilliant again from Luca Dean. Assist, clean sheet, bonus points. Did come off last 15-20 minutes of the game. tight hamstring, I think, but he was photographed in training today, so fingers crossed he'll play. But the game is Friday night, so he hasn't got long to recover. So I'll certainly be looking at the manager press conferences to see if he's going to make the squad. Might be forced into using one of my transfers, but if it's just one game week, I like him as almost like a season pick. So I probably just have to dip into my bench potentially and leave him there for one game. Norwich, beating Newcastle 3-1. Pookie getting a hat trick. As you would have seen or heard on the podcast last week, we had Digby in the live chat who said he really rated Pookie, thought he was going to get him in. He did get him in instead of Callum Wilson, and Julie delivered for him, so it was a great shit out for Digby there. And he's on my watch list for sure. He's gone up twice, I think, in price. I think he could go up a third time. So with my squad, I did have that 0.5 in the bank from the start of the season, which I'm so happy I did do. It's just basically allowed me to have a bit of patience this week. The transfers I may make might just eat into pretty much that whole 0.5, but that's kind of what it's there for. So definitely be doing that next season for sure, because all these price rises, as I've not panicked, and I've just been able just to just see them coming in and just not needing to react to it because I've got that 0.5 in the bank. Newcastle looked dreadful in that game from the highlights, and so Harry Kane captain probably incoming against them. Liverpool 2-1, as we mentioned. Mane stepping up in that game for sure, goal and assist. We shall certainly have that debate, Mane, Salah again. I'm firmly in the Salah camp. And until anything drastic changes, that will stay the same. But he's a good option for sure. Could well be a better option. I go just complete gut instinct, and I always go for Salah. But in that game, obviously, Adrian mistake, smashing the Liverpool double clean sheet away, which was really annoying. But I'm going to probably stick with the Liverpool double defence. But again, more on that when we talk transfers. Man City Spurs 2-2. City were all over Spurs in this game. Not quite sure how it was a 2-2 draw. Sterling getting that goal. Again, looks to have started the season on fire. De Bruyne with 2 assists looked fantastic. Would love to have him in my team, but I'm just not sure how you have. I have Salah, Sterling, and Kane. To try and get De Bruyne in there as well, definitely would have to break up that Liverpool double defence for sure, and maybe even drop a premium. So I think you've got to choose, and I'm just going to have to choose just to enjoy his football and not the points that he's going to get this season, because he could smash it. Unless there's an injury to one of the other premiums, then I'd definitely be looking at bringing in De Bruyne. Lucas Moura getting that goal coming off the bench. It'll be interesting to see if he keeps his. Well, he came off the bench in that game, so and Son's back this week, so it'd be interesting to see if he starts or not. Then the Sunday games, as I mentioned, Sheffield United, John Lundstram, amazing from him, 1-0. Crystal Palace looked all over the place, pretty toothless going up front. And fantastic to start him and get 14 points for sure. That absolutely saved my game week. My team, Chelsea 1-0. I watched this match down the pub, and Mason Mount getting his Chelsea goal. Great to see a young Chelsea academy player coming through the rankings, getting that goal. We looked electric in the first half. I think we've looked pretty fantastic in most of the first halves we've played so far this season. But again, our second half, so I don't know what's happening, but whether it's a fitness thing potentially, because we are pressing quite a lot all over the field, the pitch, I should say. So I wonder if it's a slight fitness thing. But we certainly look weaker at the back, certainly in the second half of games. But Mount is firmly on my radar. He could well be in my squad in game week 3. more on that to come, but I thought he looked really decent. Looks to have nailed down a position at the moment in that team, and he's also on some of the set plays as well, corners and free kicks. So could be incredible value at well, he was 6. He went up to 6.1 last night, which I had to just suffer with, but that's fine. Again, I just wanted to really just be patient and wait until Thursday, Friday, and have as much information as possible. But he looked very decent. Leicester looked a lot better in the second half. Maddison looked very good. It's weird with Leicester. A lot of people were tipping them to be amazing at the start of the season. Haven't quite fired yet. But signs that certainly in that second half that the likes of Maddison and Vardy and Tielemans could well come to the fore for Leicester. And then the Monday night game, again, went down the pub to watch this one. And United looked pretty comfortable against Wolves. I have to say the defence looked pretty decent. Wan-Bissaka, who's firmly on my watch list now, having pretty much dismissed him pre-season because I just thought it was too much. But with Maguire in there, Shaw looked pretty sturdy as well with Lindelof. It looks like, okay, it's not going to be a City or Liverpool defence, but the thing with Wan-Bissaka, he just loves bonus points. And if he keeps a clean sheet, United, then he's just going to smash points, and he's so well owned that's really hurting my rank if he does stuff. So certainly looking at bringing him in potentially for game week 3 is Man United at home to Palace. Neves with an amazing goal there. Wolves, again, I'm just kind of staying away from. Europa League, still playing. They got like Thursday, Thursday, I think, coming up. That's the last qualifying round, I think, to get into the Europa League. So they'll be wanting to start their first 11 for sure. So I'm going to stick away from them. Obviously, I've got Dendoncker on my bench, but that's fine. I think he's pretty nailed on to play, but again, he's just a 4.5 sort of enabler, really. So that was game week 2. I say fairly happy. Definitely got out of jail with John Lundstrom there. So I think that was definitely a warning sign to me that I probably do need to bolster my team a little bit, not rely on my bench so much. So when I do come on to talk about transfers, that is what I'm looking to do. So let's have a look then at how my team is currently set up. A reminder that the Game Week 3 deadline is this Friday, 23rd of August at 7 p.m. Prior to that Aston Villa-Everton game. And so that is how my squad is shaping up. So Ryan and goal, got Southampton at home. Southampton haven't looked great going forwards. So certainly clean sheet potentials there. Liverpool double up. I think I'm pretty much going to stick with them. That was the plan pre-season. Still think they can deliver attacking returns as well. There's talk of TAA maybe not starting against Arsenal. He might get exposed down that flank if Aubameyang starts there. I'm just going to risk it. Well, if it's a risk, but I just think Arsenal aren't that great at the back either. And so I fancy big points from them too this week, where a lot of people are selling them. Often in FPL, the opposite happens and they go and smash it. But I'll be starting with them, I think. Luca Dean did have a yellow flag. I don't think it's showing on the FPL website at the moment. But unless there's any news that's come in recently. But I think there's a strong chance he'll play. So could get points from him. And how can I not start John Lundstrom at home to Leicester? I think Leicester could well score in that match. But he's playing as this sort of marauding midfielder. He's had so many assist attempts. Only if one of the Sheffield United strikers could finish one of his assists. So he may not get a cleanie. He may not get a goal like get another 14-pointer. But just for his value, he's gone up to 4.1 now. I just think it's kind of 3 points. You've got to spend 4 million as a minimum on the defender. So it's just, again, that's totally felt like 14 free points from him. Currently, Salah again. He could go big for sure against Arsenal, but so could Mane. They're both good shouts. Sterling vice captaincy on him. Bournemouth away. City can blow through anyone completely. Bournemouth haven't been great at the back last season. Haven't been too bad so far in the first two games, but City can just score out against anyone really. But the vice captaincy on him, because the captaincy will probably be on Kane. Salah as well is a pretty good shout for captaincy as well. I would say it's out of those three, but I'd probably say Kane, Sterling, and then Salah is the order of my preference for that. Fraser's in the team there currently, but pretty sure he'll be exiting. And then Donker's starting there, but with the transfers I'm making, he'll probably drop to the bench. Josh King will probably stay in the team. I'll talk about him when I talk about Fraser and the transfers, but he'll probably stay. And then Kane, captain against Newcastle. I mean, I only watched the highlights that Norwich Newcastle game, but Newcastle defence looked awful, absolutely shocking. If Son comes back, if they play Mora, Kane, Son, if Eriksen starts, I mean, that could be one huge scoreline for Spurs. So I've just got to go Kane captain for me for sure. And then on the bench here, you see Wickham, Hayden, and Gibson, and Button as the reserve goalkeeper. So I'll talk a little bit of what I'm thinking about in terms of transfers. So I'm looking at getting rid of Fraser. Just done nothing in those first two games. They've got City, then it's Leicester away and Everton at home. Of course, if you're a long time listener to the pod, got rid of Fraser towards the back end of last season and he absolutely smashed it. So I'm sure he will go ahead and do the same to me this season. But it was just a shame. I knew that was the risk, but I just thought in the first two game weeks, if he does amazing, I could get rid of him and I'd be like quite happy because I got good points from him. Or I could just keep him if he was in really good form. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened, and I was hoping for at least one haul from him just to feel like that I got the pick right at the start of the season. Maybe it's a pride thing, so I'm trying to let that cloud my judgment. But I think he's probably got to go. It's too expensive, 7.5 million to not performing when there's options below him that are. So in terms of who I'm thinking of bringing in, Trossard is a good option at 6 million. Took his goal well. Brighton got a good fixture against Southampton, but then they got two dodgy fixtures, but then the fixtures pick up again. I'm very much looking at Mason Mount of Chelsea, as I mentioned earlier. Two good fixtures for Chelsea coming up. And I think he could do. I think he's a starter, and he definitely could get me attacking points. He's 6.1 now, so that would again release some funds. That would release 1.4, and remember I've got 0.5 in the bank, so it's about 1.9 to play with. Now I had looked at bringing in Pookie for Josh King. Something I may still do, but I don't know. Getting rid of both of my Bournemouth attackers feels like I'm destined to get hit by them, even though they are playing City. That one of them's going to do something, and I kind of think if I leave King in, he's cheaper for sure, so I can get more money out of Fraser. King did score a penalty, so he has returned at least. And I think if Fraser does well, he may be doing the assists, and hopefully that may be Josh King on the end of that assist. So thinking of probably just leaving one Bournemouth player in there, and that will probably be King. But Pookie could come in. He's just gone up double. So if I were to bring in Pookie for King, Mount for Fraser, and then the third option is because I can't rely on Lundstram coming on and scoring 14 points each week. And at the moment, I'm starting Lundstram and Den Donker, which I think was warning signs last game week that I need to bolster up that starting 11. So Gibson, again, the 4.0 defender, hasn't worked out. Obviously hasn't started for Burnley at all. So I'm looking at upgrading him to Wan-Bissaka. As I mentioned earlier, bonus point magnet. United look more solid at the back, for sure. So I think there will be more clean sheets. It still won't be in the City-Liverpool range, but when he does get those bonus points, and he may not have the attacking prowess of a Robertson, TAA, or Adina, but the bonus points is a huge thing for him, and it's the ownership as well. I think it's up to like 35, 36%. So when they do well, that really does hurt my overall rank, and I am aware of that. So he would be in the team for that as well. So if I brought in all three, I have 2 free transfers I rolled last week, so I could bring in all three for a -4, and with the Fraser did drop in price, so he went down to 7.4. So I think I can do all three and have left maybe 0.1 in the bank. I'd maybe have to do that tonight because there will potentially be price rises tonight. Pookie could go up again, so decisions to be made. I don't really want to make it tonight. I do want to wait for those press conferences, which probably means that I won't go for Pookie, not taking the -4 hit, and just bringing in Mason Mount for Fraser and Aaron Wan-Bissaka for Gibson. And then what that would mean is that I play 5 at the back, so Wan-Bissaka would come into that starting lineup. Let's I'll show you on what I was going to show you on screen if I can. Let's have a little look. So there we go. Switch. So that would, obviously Gibson there at the back. That would be Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So that'd be 5 at the back, and then Fraser would be Mason Mount. So that'd be a 5-3-2, and then obviously my bench. Then I'd probably have Dendoncker as first sub, I guess, Burnley at home, and that feels a lot better. There's a lot of more balanced out starting 11, more options if my premiums don't come in to cover the points. So yeah, looking at probably Mason Mount for Fraser, Aaron Wan-Bissaka for Gibson, and that would then leave me 0.4 left in the bank, which is a nice little figure to have. Again, can cover price rises or price falls. And yeah, it's quite nice just to have that money in the bank. Plus, I wouldn't take a -4 because I'm not too averse. It's one of the to taking a hits at the start of the season. It's one of the things I mentioned in my 18-19 season review, that if you're going to take hits and a few more risky moves, do it at the start of the season. And I thought I'd do more of it, or thought about it, but for me, the squad started well. There's only a few players there that haven't returned. And that's with rolling the free transfer. I can obviously use those to take out Fraser and Gibson there. So apart from that, would just be the Robertson. I think pretty much, yeah, it would be Robertson in that starting 11. Would be the only one who hasn't returned. So I feel in a pretty decent place, rank wise, points wise, and how the squad's shaping up. I did think maybe of just doing one transfer, so I'd have 2 free transfers for next week. But I feel Aaron Wan-Bissaka at home to Crystal Palace, that's going to be a rank killer. I just feel like maybe just getting him in, and then potentially rolling the free transfer in game week 4, so I'd have 2 in game week 5 potentially, but there's an international break there as well, so we just have to see if any players get injured in that. Yeah, I don't really want to take it. I don't feel it's necessary to take a -4 to bring in Pookie as well, because then the 3 players have got to cover that -4. Whether they'll be able to do that potentially, but and Chelsea play Norwich. I'm a Chelsea supporter. I don't really want to be supporting Pookie in that match, if I'm honest. I'd rather bring in Mount and support him. Chelsea have been weak at the back, so there's every chance that Pookie could get something. But I got a feeling he's not going to keep it up, but he could do. And if people have got on him early, they get good price rises, boosting up that team value, which is great. I'm probably just going to keep in King and hopefully he can get something maybe potentially against City, or if Fraser returns and it's an assist, hopefully it's for King, or if King can assist Fraser, that will certainly help my therapy. If Fraser does score, then at least I've got a chance that King may have provided the assist. And so yeah, so that's what I'm thinking transfer wise and squad wise. And captain's pick, as I said, looking definitely, unless something comes up, we hear that Kane's not playing for some reason, whatever, I don't know, or is a doubt. I think that's pretty much 99% sure that will be captaincy on Harry Kane. So looking down then at game week 3 fixtures, Friday night, of course, Aston Villa at home to Everton, hoping that Dean is fit for that. It'd be interesting game. Everton have been great defensively, not so great going forward, so might be a tight game. Villa is still slightly unknown, not great at the back, but sure the crowd will get them up for a Friday night game there. So interesting to see if the fullbacks start. So they've kept the same two, El Mohammadi and Neil Taylor. Gilbert and Target haven't started. Gilbert hasn't even been in the squad, so it'll be very interesting to see if those two come in for game week 3. Gilbert went down to 4.4, so I'm still keeping my eye on him. Could be just a very, very long shot here, but Matt Doherty went down to 4.4 last season after the first few games and then absolutely smashed it. So I'm just keeping my eye on him. Could be a very early shout for Gilbert to be the next Doherty, but yeah, potential there, possibly. Then the early game, Norwich home to Chelsea. I'm expecting goals galore in this match. Silly goals. Probably going. I'll be predicting a 3-2 to Chelsea. Can see a lot of goals. Two not great defences so far. So yeah, if Tammy Abraham can just get one of those finishes across, he could go big in that game. Unless Giroud starts, and again he could definitely do bits against that Norwich defence. Just need one of them to get a brace or something, get the confidence, and then I think we'll be a lot better, putting away our chances a lot more for sure. Brighton home to Southampton, again, interesting to see how that one plays out. More attacking Brighton this season, and Southampton just not look great at all. So it could be a clean sheet for Ryan there, but keeping my eye on Trossard for sure. With the transfers, Mount could play the next two games if I bring him in, and depending on how he does, the Chelsea next two fixtures after that stiffen up a bit, and then we got a great run. But in those two fixtures, Trossard, Brighton have two really good fixtures, so may do a little two-game hokey-cokey with those two. Something to keep my eye on for sure. United at home to Crystal Palace. Again, looking at bringing in Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Palace have been pretty awful going forward for sure. I did look at Martial to come in instead of Fraser, but I think there's a 0.3 difference now. Fraser's gone down, Martial's gone up twice, I think, or will have gone by tonight. Still not my mind up on Martial or the attacking assets at United. Still don't think, again, defensively not perfect for sure, but just, yeah, I don't know. Just wait and see on Martial for me. And plus, if I got him in, I wouldn't be able to. I would very little money really to change anything else in my team there. So I'm thinking that Mount Wan-Bissaka with zero 0.4 left over is potentially better than just Martial. But we will see. Sheffield United home to Leicester. Hopefully another clean sheet goal. Bonus points from John Lundstram. Not sure that'd be the case. I think Leicester would have maybe just found something in that second half against Chelsea, and I think they will do a lot better in that Sheffield United game. But Sheffield United look pretty solid at the back, so we shall see. Watford, West Ham, that's just clash of two teams have been pretty awful so far. No idea what that game's gonna be. It could be a 0-0 or a 2-2. just keep an eye out on assets. Potentially Lanzini maybe returned a goal last week. Attacking assets for maybe Watford, Deulofeu, Deeney potentially. Just keep an eye out, see what happens in that game. Then the late game, Liverpool, Arsenal, 5:30. Could well be goals galore in this game also. Arsenal not great at the back, I don't think. Liverpool should be better at the back, but haven't been. Interesting to see if TAA starts in that match. If that Arsenal front three of Pepe, Lacazette, Aubameyang with Ceballos behind them could be lethal. But that will provide gaps and spaces for the Liverpool front three, who's tried and tested. So we shall see. I think if there's no clean sheet for Liverpool there, I expect attacking returns from my Liverpool defenders there. And then the Sunday games, Bournemouth home to Man City again. No doubt Fraser will probably get a goal and assist, but hopefully if he does return, Josh King is involved in that the attacking points return there, because he probably will stay in my team. And Sterling, great captaincy pick against Bournemouth, I think. So I'm happy just to have him in my side for sure, and be interesting to see if De Bruyne can continue on from his amazing game against Spurs the other day. Spurs at home to Newcastle, probably said this enough. Harry Kane captain, I think he's going to absolutely smash it against Newcastle. Well, that is the hope. And the Wolves at home to Burnley. It's an interesting one, this, because Wolves have been in Europe tonight, actually, they're playing. And so can Burnley sort of take advantage of that? Maybe a bit fatigue from Wolves players. If it was at Burnley, I would probably fancy Burnley to do something there more than them being away, but could be tight. This actually could be a 0-0 draw. That looking at Pope as goalkeeper options as well, and looking at Jota, 6.5 million forward as a potential replacement for King, unless Pookie goes mad again. Now I'm probably just going to have to get Pookie in and suck it up. But yeah, so that's game week 3 fixtures. And I think that is where I'm going to wrap up the show. So again, the game week 3 deadline, as you can see on screen there, this Friday, 23rd of August, 7 o'clock, before that Aston Villa and Everton match. And feel free to send in any questions, topics you'd like discussed on the show, to just send a message into the podcast Twitter account at CaptainsPickPod, or the podcast email address captainspickpod@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Again, if you're watching this on the YouTube replay, please leave comments down there. I'll be checking in there for sure to see what you're saying about my squad selections and my transfer options. And please like, subscribe, and share down there. That'd be great. And obviously, if you're listening to this on the podcast, please do give us a review or a rating. Just trying to get the podcast out to more people as possible. I've been your host. Good luck with game week 3, and until next time, it's been my pleasure to talk with you.